Welcome back to Football Fundits and welcome back to the segment FPL Fundits. It's really good to be back. As you can see, it's been a decent start to game week 1, 63 points. Kane over Haaland being the decisive factor over there. A lot of questions to answer in terms of mainly if you're looking at the knee jerk, should I go Haaland to Kane to Haaland over there? A lot of managers have already made that move. Should you stick to your team? Do you give it one more week? How further behind would you possibly fall if Kane blanks again? What if you want a wild card early because you had a very bad start to your game week? You went too differential at the start of the season. And in general, the transfer tips and selection tips, team selection tips for this episode. Before we move ahead, I just want to make sure that you guys follow us on Instagram and on Twitter. Hit on that subscribe button in general and do not forget to join the Fundits Mini League. It's still not too late to join. You can still catch up and hit up that top 10 in the leaderboard. Probably even still finish first, right? Long way to go in the season. It's not too late. Just make sure you also subscribe on the YouTube channel. On that link there, hit on that subscribe button and follow us on Twitter and the new Instagram account that we set up. Unfortunately, we lost the old one, but ready to get going on this new one. So let's get into this episode and currently show you what my team looks like right now. So we have Sanchez in goal, James, Cancelo, Trent, Trippier, Luis Diaz, Salah, Martinelli, Andreas in my team as of now over Neto, which is a little, I don't know, I'm not really sure about that, but that's what it is for now. Kane and Jesus. Now, obviously, the big question for everybody over here is, do you make that knee-jerk move? Do you take out Harry Kane? Do you get in Haaland? So Haaland is currently owned almost by 57% of all managers on FPL. He's also been brought in by a million managers from the end of last game week or from the end of last game week's deadline to right now, which is Friday night. So we still have a long way to go. You could see these numbers completely jump. Could be me. Could I be one of them? I normally like, and it's just me, there's a lot of managers out there who like to bank that transfer in game week 2 because you still think that there's some way to go in understanding how these players set up. Maybe the first game week was not a good enough sample size, right? So will Kane do well against Chelsea? If it was an easier fixture, you would be tempted to definitely hold. The confusion comes is where Kane versus Chelsea, Spurs scoring 4 goals, Kane sitting so deeply for them, even Son registering just a single assist, right? So that's where I think more than anything else, apart from Haaland's good form or the way he looked, is what's bothering a lot of managers who have Kane, who have Son. I don't think you can go wrong either way. As of now, I'm still at holding on to Kane because personally, I feel that even if Luis Diaz could leave my team next week, so I'd rather use those 2 transfers there. I do have point 0.5 in the bank, so it's not like I don't have money in the bank like a lot of managers don't. The ones who aren't aware of price rise and Kane's dropped to 11.4, Haaland's 11.6. So obviously, if you have nothing in the bank, you have no way you can make that unless you take a hit. That being said, I don't think it's worth taking a -4. I could be wrong. Haaland could bang in a hat trick against Bournemouth. I don't think it's worth taking a -4 just yet. Okay, if it really goes wrong in game week 2 as well with Kane, then maybe if you banked a transfer or you just made one free transfer this game week, then you look at it that way. As of now, it's 60-40 holding on to Kane, but more before the deadline, obviously. In terms of what are good other good transfers to make this week, by and large, I feel, yeah, Trent and Robertson were a little poor in game week 1. But looking at Liverpool's great fixture run, you wouldn't really necessarily want to take them out, right? Another temptation on Nunes is there as well, and that's someone who I'll be talking about when I talk a bit about is it too early to wildcard. So they have United in game week 3. Well, they've done very well against United, unfortunately for me as a supporter. So that's not really a worrying fixture as of now. Then it's Bournemouth, Newcastle, Everton, Wolves. I don't know if you obviously want to knee jerk and take him out, right? A lot of people have asked me, can you move him down to Virgil van Dijk, save money that way? Well, you can. Nothing is really a bad move. It's just that with Trent, if that was a blip of a game, you could find yourself really in the chasing pack if you want to get him back later, especially since he's already at 7.5, right? And his ownership really hasn't dropped as much. He's still at 56%. So I would hold on to these players. So what are the players you could consider getting in potentially this week if this is what a team looks like mine, and you really want to transfer, right? You could potentially look at Luis Diaz to Kulusevski if you already have Haaland and you have money in the bank. I think that helps you cover your Spurs base as well, especially since Spurs' fixtures after this game week, after game week 2, that is, get better. So you have Spurs cover in there for Son and Kane. Won't necessarily look like cover if Son and Kane start banging in goals, but he looks like he's in good nick. So Wolves, Nottingham Forest, West Ham, and Fulham, really good fixtures there. So maybe you know what, scratch the James thing. I think the out and out one I would look at for this one game week punt would definitely be a Luis Diaz to or an 8.0 midfielder to Kulusevski. Now, Luis Diaz is mainly for me because he's in my team. But like I was telling you guys earlier, I would really want to hold on to these two players maybe one more game week to see how they deliver. Moving that free transfer on Kane to Haaland might limit me in game week 3 if I also want to move out Luis Diaz and one more player, right? So just a little worried about that, the structure of all of it. But yeah, moving on your 8.0 midfielder, maybe a Mount or someone, and just trying to go and chase the player in form in Kulusevski would be a good hit for me. Move on to the transfer page, so maybe it's a little easier to have a look at everything that I've been like just talking about right now. So looking at the team structure right now, like I showed you. So like I said, if I take out Kane, I can easily get in Haaland. I have money in the bank for this, right? I still have 0.3 left in the bank. I can make that move, no questions asked, just a single transfer, no points lost. If you are someone who already has Haaland, for example, and like I showed you, let's say you take out a Mount over here, get in a Kulusevski at 8.1, you already have Robertson and Trent in your team, you have Salah in your team. That's a good looking team. I think then you probably save the transfer maybe in game week 3 and use 2 free transfers in game week 4. That's what I was trying to get to, right? A lot of people are knee jerking Jesus out. Well, I probably one of the only reasons I got Jesus in honestly was the ownership. Fixtures look good. I'm always a little worried about Arsenal assets, right? Martinelli did look good, could have another goal. So if you have him in your team, definitely hold on to him. Like I said, Trent, Cancelo, and for me, Trippier also as a whole, right? Look at Trippier's fixtures right now. It's Brighton, which is a good fixture, I feel. City is the tough one. Wolves, Liverpool's a tough one. But I feel like I'm going to stick with him because just for Palace, West Ham, Bournemouth, Fulham, Brentford. I think I'm going to hold on to him at 5.0, especially with, like I said earlier, Zinchenko coming in for rotation with James for one game big punt, maybe if you want to try that. But apart from that, Zinchenko being rotated with Tierney is my worry, right? So I think Trippier at 5 is a great move, especially with Perisic at 5.5. Not starting yet, potentially could start. There's no guarantee that he's not going to start against Chelsea, right? But with all the concerns, I think Trippier at 5 is a good move. If not him, definitely look at Lewis Dunk, who I have on my bench as of now, because Brighton have Newcastle, West Ham, Leeds, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth, Crystal Palace. I feel to Liverpool in game week 9, they have a good run of fixtures. And as of now, that's when I tend to, or I want to wildcard, right? So I think Dunk will mostly, unfortunately, with injuries, if I'm hit with that, I think Dunk will mostly be in my team. And I think at 4.5, he can rotate out very well for a few sticky fixtures for bigger assets. So, like I said, the one free transfer, ideally, I would say if you have Haaland already, look at your 8.0 midfield. If you're not really happy, you want to cover your bases, aggressively attack over there. But I would still bank the transfer as an option 1. Option 2, like I said, is that. Now, option 3, what if I've had a very stinker of a game week? I've realized I got 2 differential. I went no Salah. Now I'm panicking. What do? Do I use the wild card? Well, I would still say ride it out this game week. But if you must wild card, because you feel you've gone too experimental, then I believe the players you really need to get in the wildcarding early is because you'll have to play a little safe going ahead. And you can obviously use more chips if it works out for you before game week 16, before you go into the international break for the World Cup, right? But I would say definitely keep Trent in your team. I would, if you're wildcarding now, definitely get Haaland over Kane. Get Kulusevski in there in your team. Get Salah in there in your team. Now you have a choice between Jesus, who still is highly owned, or risking with Darwin with Nunes. I feel this is why I'm so confused about game week 2 and get wildcarding is because Nunes I feel is a good hit, but if he doesn't start game week 2, then you're still like, what is that wildcard for? You wasted Jesus out for Nunes. Nunes has now started. Jesus has scored a goal. That's what I feel like. It's always a little too soon to wildcard. But look, if you really want to, then I will look at the team that you have in front of you right now. get in Kulusevski, get in Haaland, get in Salah, get in Martinelli. Okay, let's say you want to go 3 in attack, right? So, and you want to keep Jesus. So that pretty much looks something like this. Darwin Núñez, whose price is already up to 9.1. You can see there'll be a big deficit. So you obviously can't hold on to your 8.0 midfielder either. Probably have downgraded him down to, a 5.0 midfielder. Is it Leon Bailey? I wouldn't say Leon Bailey right now, but just to show you guys quickly, I'm going to put in Leon Bailey over there. You then have a 4.5 midfielder over there of yours. Downgrade that to a Nico Williams, for example. Downgrade your other 5.0 defender that I have. Get him down as well to, another 4.0 defender. And this is essentially what a team would look like, right? So you have Sanchez, I would leave him goalie as a decent run of fixtures like I showed you. So you would probably have Sanchez, James, Trent, Cancelo starting. You have Martinelli, Salah, Bailey, Neto, or depending on who you want to line up over there, and Jesus, Darwin, and Haaland. It's not the worst team, right? But in terms of defensive rotation, you're really, I know Nico Williams is a starter. Patterson for now is a starter, but you really lack any bench strength over there. You're down to a 5.0 midfielder. So you already have Neto, who's not looking the best. Maybe you can get an Aronson for Neto going ahead. If you're wildcarding, that is. If you have money in the bank, you've not lost, you still have money in the bank somehow. That's how you get Jesus, Darwin, and Haaland. But that's the crux of that conversation, right? It's not impossible if you wildcard. But this is essentially what a team would look like. And I feel maybe one more game week, and this could still be a good team. You would know if you want to keep Neto or no. You could look at an Aronson, you could look at other 5.0 players, you could look at Brighton players. Looking at the fixtures there. Trossard probably might be a little priced out, I feel, but you could still look at other players over there. In terms of captaincy now, right? What do you think about captaincy? If you both have Haaland and Haaland and Salah. Salah has done well historically in the last few years versus Palace. Mane had a better record, I feel, but Salah's done well too. And Haaland looks to be in good nick. The reason a lot of managers are making that switch is to captain him. If you have both, obviously, I would lean towards Haaland. If you have both, I would lean towards Haaland. If you don't have it, you have Kane, you have Jesus, and you have Salah, and that's pretty much option, and you have David. I would say don't look beyond Salah, especially since you might have to cover up points from Haaland with Salah's captaincy versus those who want Haaland captain. So I think, I'll repeat, if you have Haaland and Salah, I would lean for Haaland. If nobody else, then definitely Salah for me this game week. What if you have KDB and Salah? I would still lean towards Salah. If you don't have Haaland, you have KDB, Salah, I would still lean towards Salah. Those are my picks. But thank you so much for tuning into this episode. I won't make it too long. It was a short episode before the deadline, so to help you with easy, quick fixes, don't forget to follow us on Twitter, on the Football Fundits League Instagram handle. Join the FPL Mini League. You still have time to join and win prizes at the end. We'll announce that later. That there are some new rules to FPL this season which strongly discourage all of this. So we will be looking at that a little later. And again, best of luck for this game week. Hit us up on Twitter, Instagram if you have any other questions, or in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer the same. Best of luck again. Cheers.